Machiavelli was right. Not about everything, but about the things that made people uncomfortable enough to burn his name for 500 years. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand what he actually believed, why the world lied to you about it, and why his ideas might be the most practically useful philosophy you've never been taught, if you appreciate me making this type of content. Let me know by gently tapping that like button. Let's dive into it. All right, first, who was Machiavelli? And why does his name still make people flinch? Niccolo Machiavelli was born in Florence on the 3rd of May, 1469, during one of the most politically violent periods in Italian history. He wasn't a warlord. He wasn't a king. He was a diplomat and a civil servant who spent decades watching powerful men rise and collapse. And he took notes. Careful, honest, brutal notes. He worked for the Florentine Republic for 14 years, from 1498 to 1512, traveling across Europe, meeting rulers, watching negotiations succeed and fail, watching armies win and crumble. He saw how power actually moved, not how philosophers said it should move, how it actually moved. That distinction is everything. When the Medici family came back to power and threw out the Republic, Machiavelli lost his job, got accused of conspiracy, was tortured, and was exiled to his farm outside Florence. He had nothing left but time and his notes. So he sat down and wrote The Prince, a short, sharp, brutally honest guide to political power. And the world has been uncomfortable with it ever since. Now, here's where the misreading happened. And this is important, so stay with me. Most people who've heard the word Machiavellian have never actually read Machiavelli. They've absorbed a caricature. The idea that he said do evil to win, that he celebrated cruelty, that he was some kind of godfather of manipulation. That version of him is almost entirely wrong. What Machiavelli actually did was something far more radical than recommending cruelty. He separated ethics from political reality. He said, here is how the world works, not how it should work, how it does work. And if you pretend it works differently, you will lose. That idea terrified people. It still does, because it removes the comfortable story that good people always win and bad people always lose. Machiavelli looked at history and said, that is not what I see. So let's get into his actual philosophy, starting with the two concepts at the center of everything he wrote. The first is virtù, not virtue in the moral sense. That's a crucial distinction. Virtù in Machiavelli's language means something closer to capability, decisiveness, force of will. It's the quality of a person who can read a situation clearly and act on it without hesitation. A leader with virtù doesn't freeze, doesn't wait for the perfect moment, doesn't pretend the situation is something other than what it is. The second concept is fortuna, fortune, luck, circumstance, the things outside your control. Machiavelli wrote one of the most memorable lines in all of philosophy about this. He said fortune is like a river. When it floods, it destroys everything in its path. But the people who built walls and channels before the flood, they survive. They redirected the force. That's his entire philosophy in miniature. You cannot control fortune, but you can prepare for it, shape your environment around it, and respond to it fast when it arrives. The person with virtù is the one who's built the walls before the flood comes. This is not evil. This is stoicism with a political edge. Quick break. If you're getting value from this channel and you want more deep dives into the philosophers and historical figures who actually understood human nature, hit subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it helps this channel reach more people. Now back to it. Let's talk about what Machiavelli actually said about human nature. Because this is where people get most upset with him. He believed humans are, by default, self-interested. Not monsters, not evil, but self-interested. They respond to incentives. They fear loss more than they desire gain. They will tell you what you want to hear when it benefits them. They will abandon you when it costs them too much to stay loyal. He didn't write this because he hated people. He wrote it because he'd watched enough of history to see the pattern repeat. Every ruler who assumed the best about everyone around them, who confused loyalty with compliance, who trusted without verifying, they collapsed. Every one of them. The Stoics had a version of this too. Marcus Aurelius spent his entire reign writing to himself about how to deal with difficult, self-interested people. Not by becoming bitter, but by expecting reality instead of fantasizing about it. Machiavelli was doing the same thing from the political side. Now, what did he actually say about power? He said a leader must be both a lion and a fox. The lion because raw strength commands respect. The fox because cunning is what navigates traps. Neither one alone is enough. Pure force gets outsmarted. Pure cunning gets steamrolled. The leader who survives, the one who builds something lasting, understands when to be each one. He also said something that feels counterintuitive at first. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. But read the full passage. He isn't saying be a tyrant. He's saying love is fragile because it depends on the other person's feelings, which change. Fear, properly applied, is more stable because it depends on your behavior, which you control. And critically, he also said that a ruler must never be hated. Fear without hatred is the goal. The moment you cross into cruelty for its own sake, you've already lost. That is a precise, nuanced idea. It got flattened into Machiavelli said be cruel by people who read one sentence and stopped. So here's the lesson that most people never actually get. Machiavelli wasn't teaching people to be immoral. He was teaching people to stop being naive. There's a difference. Naivety isn't virtue. Wishful thinking isn't kindness. Pretending the world works differently than it doesn't make you good. It makes you ineffective. The Stoics called this amor fati, love of fate, acceptance of reality as it is. Machiavelli called it seeing clearly. The language is different, but the move is the same. Start with what's true, not what's comfortable, and work from there. The people who've done the most lasting good in history, the leaders, the builders, the reformers, were not the ones who refused to understand power. They were the ones who understood it clearly and chose what to do with that understanding. That's what Machiavelli was pointing at. And 500 years of trying to make him a villain hasn't changed the fact that he was right. And if you want more deep dives like this one, philosophers, historical figures, the ideas that actually shaped the world, subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more coming. I'll see you in the next one.